Thank you for joining us for Grannies for Jesus. We'll be here weekly on Fridays on our Facebook page and also on our website as we give tips and encouragement for grandmother. Reminded of your sincere faith, the faith that first dwelt in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and now I am sure dwells in you as well. 2 Timothy 1:5. It's just fun being a grandma, and to be able to invest in these children's lives and to be able to support what your children are doing as well. It's something that I have learned too, and I think maybe some of you may want to address this. I don't know if this has been an issue for you or not, but I've had to learn and remind myself that I'm the grandmother, not the mother. And so I've made some boundaries for myself, and and I'm sure there's been times where they've had to say mom, but that I don't. I do when the children are here. We do discipline our grandchildren when they're in our home, but if mom and dad are here, if they want a cookie, I don't tell them yes. I'll say, mom and dad are here. You need to go ask them. Now, if they're not here, that's different. But if they're here, I defer to them. I always defer to mom and dad. And that really makes things smoother for everybody as well as for the children. And, and then, I don't ever say anything negative about anything that they're doing with their children ever in front of my grandchildren. Now, maybe if there's a situation, and maybe later on I might go and talk to them. I don't think I've ever had to do that, but maybe I would. But go and talk to them separately about it. But basically, even then, I wait to be invited in. I wait for them to ask for my advice. Now, I have probably the most teachable daughter-in-laws on the face of this earth, and they both come to me constantly. Sometimes they'll call me 3 or 4 times a day, but especially if the boys are out of town, I can tell when they're out of town because they call more. But I still wait to be asked. And I think that's a wise thing as a grandmother and a mother-in-law as well. But as a grandmother, to wait to be asked about a situation, for them to say, well, what did you have this issue with the boys, and what did you do? And to be able to address that. So has anybody else had that situation with your children or grandchildren where you've realized that's what you needed to do, is to wait?
We just try to do the same thing. Go ask your mom, is this okay if you have this candy right now? And if she says no, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That I just feel like that's right.
Absolutely. And as they get older, those things are bigger.
And even if you're seeing something that you don't agree with, to not say anything, but go to the Lord.
Yes.
And ask Him to give them wisdom for their child at this time, because that's, what you want. And y'all are just encouraging me so much, because you're like a step ahead of me, because all your grandchildren are older, and just to be more intentional. That's really good. And the one-on-one time I did blossomed when you would just say, come on, and with let's go spend, and mine at that time was just 30 minutes. This is your time, 30 minutes with me. Let's go outside and read a book on the ground, on a blanket, or whatever. And that was, you could do it. I'm just saying that whoever's listening, you can do that with your children too. If you have a lot of children, that's just good. I love that.
I think it's super important. And I did this with my children, and I'm doing it with my grandchildren, is that to bring God into every single try to, as much as you can. Like an example, when Julie and Jason and Greg, when they were little, we'd hear an ambulance or a fire truck. And I say, okay, we'd be in the car, and I say, we need to pray because someone is hurt. And so we would just pray out loud, God, whoever is in that ambulance, if they don't know you as their Savior, come to them right now so they'll know you. So the other day, it's like years ago when Ella Kate was like 4, the ambulance came, and she said, Mama told us to always pray when we hear an ambulance. I said, she said, she told us that you taught her that. I said, I did. I said, that's right. About 3 minutes passed, and Ella Kate said, Gigi, who's going to pray, me or you? Do you want me to pray? I said, oh, yeah. I got so into thinking about when they were little that I just totally forgotten to pray. She said, I said, oh, you know what? You pray, and then after you finish, then I'll pray. And it was so sweet to see my tradition with my children about the ambulance, the to carry over to the grandchildren.
Yeah.
So I just think those everyday times, those situations that come up to bring Jesus into it, because he is in our home and he needs to not just be some figure up in heaven, but he's a part of our family.
Absolutely.
One of the things I want to do is take them to all the national parks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah. So every summer we take them on a big vacation. So we're going to make them, we wanted to visit as many of them as we can because that's God's beautiful creation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of salvation, some of your grandchildren, maybe not everybody, because they're still young. Maybe when one of your grandchildren got saved, I know one of the cutest stories for us. This was adorable. When Amelia asked Jesus in her heart, they call it becoming a Christ follower, and so she was about 5. And they immediately each time they always wanted to come over to the house and tell us. So she came over to the house to tell us that she had accepted Jesus in her heart and that she was a Christ follower. And so our granddaddy was sitting with her and talking. He said, told her about when he had accepted Jesus and Jesus came into his heart. She said, oh, granddaddy, Jesus is in my heart. Oh. And he said, yes, I know. And he said, well, Jesus is in my heart too. She said, no way. There's one God, and I've got him.
Good for her.
So we had to sit down and explain, omnipresent God, to a 5-year-old. But she was sure she had it right down.
That's right.
God, and he's in my heart. So I thought that was really cool. We'll be here weekly on Fridays on our Facebook page and also on our website as we give tips and encouragement for grandmothers.